It's a really crisp and clear day today. Of course it's a bit cold, but it's the beginning of winter. It feels like it. Hi there! Today I'm out scouting for motifs to my series on the Swedish Midwest, looking for old abandoned houses or cottages. So if you're interested, please join me for a few minutes and I'll show you more and tell you more about the project. Okay, come along. So today is really the first kind of winter day here in south central Sweden where I live. It's been a few degrees below Celsius and the ground is covered with frost. I'll show you a few photos I've taken on, frozen leaves and grasses and stuff with frost on them. This is a beautiful time of the year to be out making photos.
Rainy days don't seem so wet. Stormy nights don't stay. From the moment that we met, you were worth the wait. Oh, this could be the best thing that I'll ever know. Talk for hours and never slept. Two silhouettes on the concrete steps. We watched the sun as it slowly crept from the horizon to the place we met. Oh, this could be the best thing that I'll ever know.
I'm out scouting for more motifs to my series on the Swedish Midwest. So in this episode I will show you how I work with it. Henry Emerson was one of the early pioneers of large format photography. He advocated differential focusing, where the main subject was in focus and the rest fell off into a hazy softness. His compositions were often very simplistic, documenting the everyday life and work of people in his surroundings. The results were low contrast and very dreamy. Henry Emerson was an educator and wrote several books. His concepts were widely accepted and was adopted by a number of young photographers that became big names during the time. However, as photographic technology evolved, Emerson's principles were challenged and quickly became outdated. The new trend was crisp photographs with sharp focus from the foreground throughout the image all the way to the background, a style that is very much in demand in landscape photography even to this day. There are photographers that work with large format film cameras, very much in the style of Emerson. For example, Sally Mann, who I admire very much. She returned to the roots of photography in her famous series of books. One that I highlight here is Deep South. Using large format film cameras, she documented things in her surroundings that were meaningful to her, and the results were mesmerizing. I have always been intrigued by large format film cameras, and especially from the early days of photography when the technology was in its infancy and photographs were full of imperfections. In my opinion, when cameras became more advanced, some of its soul was lost. Then, why do I not work with large format film cameras myself? Good question. Well, the simple answer is probably that I'm too lazy. These cameras are cumbersome to lug around, and both film preparation and developing requires an excessive amount of patience and know-how. Instead, I am trying to take a shortcut, using my digital medium format camera, the Fujifilm GFX 100 Mark II, and using that trying to achieve results that is similar to the photographs of old times, with as little editing as possible. So what I'm doing this series is actually trying to replicate the style that large format analog film cameras produced, low contrast, quite shallow depth of field and very soft. And to do that, I've worked a lot with trying to adapt different lenses to my GFX 100 Mark II. And the lens that I'm using the most for this project is actually this little Helios lens. It's a 44 f2. It looks, of course, quite ridiculous on this GFX 100 Mark II, but quite an interesting lens. It produces a lot of artifacts and also a very soft drop-off for the light. So it's quite amazing, and it gives you that sort of vintage look right away. So out of this fascination of mine grew a project which I called the Swedish Midwest Lost and Found. Every now and then I go out to scout for abandoned cottages, houses and farms, and there are a lot of them around where I live. I have tried to return to the roots of photography, to a point where contrast, focus and sharpness is not what matters most to me. Instead, I try to portray a feeling, a fleeting moment in time, trying to emulate the results of large format film cameras with a high-tech digital medium format camera. Slow, intentional and timeless documentary old-school photography, if you will. The series is a collection of photographs that tells a story of a landscape in transformation. Small-scale rural farmlands are replaced by modern, more industrialized agricultural units. And what is left is often remnants of the past, or relics of the strivings of people living here before us. And these small relics are left to be discovered by us, but they are soon forever lost. This is also the core value of this series, trying to document things, places and houses, for example, that will not remain forever. It's a brief moment in time when we have an opportunity to see them and to document them, and who knows, in just a short while they may be entirely gone. These kinds of images may not be for everyone. Some will of course think that this low contrast, blurry, short depth of field, quite low contrast images are poor photography. But to me they represent value that is quite intentional to me. I try to use the same approach as Emerson and Sally Mann in some way. Try to sort of capture that feeling of a landscape that is in transformation. So to me it has value, and I hope that some of you out there may really appreciate this kind of photography too. So what I'm doing here is setting up the Axon Cine Eye that will record what I see through the viewfinder and the display here back on the camera, so that I can show it to you. So what you see here is straight through the viewfinder of the camera, recorded with the Axon Cine Eye. And you see the red dots in the images is where the focus plane is. These lenses, the Helios lenses, are manual focus only, and I've set it to fully open at the aperture, and I use an adaptive shutter speed for recording the images. Also, I have a custom profile. You see there in the viewfinder C6, that's my custom profile. It's a low contrast black and white custom profile with less contrast, less sharpness, and with a square aspect ratio. So I'm trying to capture what I see through the viewfinder just as I would like to see these images when they're all done. And then of course I do some editing, but it is very, very minimal. I have a preset in Lightroom that reduces some of the contrast and adds some grain. That is almost all that I do to these images. And here are some results. So from a scouting point of view, I think this short episode and the images I got actually added some value, and some of them will perhaps end up in the portfolio. It is quite amazing to visit these old sheds and houses. Sometimes you can find objects and stuff that people just left behind. In this case it was more empty, but there are still some artifacts or objects around. My point of view is that you enter, you leave everything as is, you don't disturb anything, you don't take anything away. So I don't think that this is a house where someone actually lived. It's more like an outhouse or storage house where there's been some animals and of course a toilet, and in this area more like a storage room or something. It's always nice with a cup of coffee when you're outdoors like this, especially when it's freezing cold like today. Anyway, this episode is over for now, and I thank you for joining me this far. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you're not doing that already. And I'll be back with future episodes, photo walks and tutorials and stuff like that, all about photography, and especially digital media format photography. So, thanks for joining me today. See you!